What if your most powerful story is the one you've never told beyond your own backyard? See, on today's show, we meet a speaker, author, who spent over 2 decades helping others overcome pain and find purpose through honest storytelling. But together, we're going to explore how a message born from personal struggle and delivered to a local faith based audience can grow to corporate audiences and provide national impact. You ready? Let's go. Today's guest, Craig Brown, is a sought-after speaker and author, a mental health advocate, and seasoned expert in overcoming adversity. And when he steps up to speak, he helps organizations reimagine their aspirations for a healthier, more cohesive work environment. I'm going to let Craig take it from here, but I'm going to explain something before he goes. Normally, I just go, "Here you go, Craig, take it." But part of what we're going to do today is we're going to move Craig to a more national level. And one of the things on a more national level is usually a very clumsy bio that then gets turned over to the speaker and the speaker stumbles on stage. I always feel if we take more than 2 minutes, we're kind of wearing out our welcome. But if we
Sure.
take less than a minute, we've got some time we could have used. So I'm putting a clock up for Craig, and I'm going to let you tell your story, okay? And
Sure.
see if you can pull it in between a minute and a half to 2 minutes. Floor is yours.
Okay, I'll do my best. Well, my my whole passion, my mission and purpose is to help others, especially those that are really struggling with trying to overcome adversity, of which, I have a great deal of experience in. I came from somewhat of a dysfunctional background, family-wise and what have you. And that it 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 directed me on a path that none of us really planned to go on, but due to poor decision making and trying to fit in and trying to find, somewhere where I would belong. After being born in DC, raised in the area, and what have you, I took a job at a business in Washington, D.C. that was owned by one of the biggest cocaine dealers on the East Coast at the time. And I was 20 years old and I had no direction, no mission, no purpose. I was, no self-control, no self-discipline at all. Although I was a pretty good athlete growing up in high school and competing and what have you, there were a number of qualities that were instilled in me, but they all kind of went into the dark because I came from a background where I wasn't conditioned to succeed. It was always pressure, always, why can't you do better, et cetera, et cetera. So I kind of took that as my identity, and in turn, I paralleled that with an environment that unfortunately that was perfect for me at that time. And I got sucked up into the drug world. I was working in this business and it was horrific. It was for a 20-year-old. You think, oh, this is amazing and what have you. But over many many years, I realized that this was going to. I was either going to end up dead, and I wasn't making anything of my life at that time, nothing, and I was empty. But I had a major transformation in my life and from that time on, and over the last 40 years, I took all that pain, all that struggle, all that pressure, all that depression, everything, and I used that as fuel for the rest of my life here over well over 2 decades of helping others that have been where I've been, others that continue to this day struggle with the trauma of the past because they've never dealt with it. I dealt with it and I've been dealing with it ever since. And I have a formula and I have direction and I have guidance to help others overcome that adversity, face the pain, work through it, how to work through it, and how for that to launch you in whatever career you're in. Because you and I deal a lot with companies, and we see a lot of staff, a lot of people that have some inner turmoil going on that's prohibiting them from going to the next level. And that's where I come in. I've been there, I understand it, I empathize, but I also have a formula and direction as to how to get someone from a place of brokenness or a place of pain and struggle to a place of meaning and purpose in their life.
Okay. And we stop the clock. All right. Now, let's just talk about that opening for a second. All right. Uh, I'll tell you that it went a little long. But and first of all, let me say this: what an amazing opening! What an amazing story! Don't what a heartless son of a gun Rob Jollis is. Ah, you went long. Tell it again. No, but what I want you to hear is this: we're talking about stepping into a national spotlight, and
Right.
on the net and let's just imagine that we're at a year-end meeting for Bank of America. Okay,
Okay.
we're kicking
Yeah.
off, and you
Yeah.
are there to inspire and inform them.
Yeah.
So the first thing, and you come from a background that you didn't just sort of fall into this. It shaped itself around you. I want you to know that I used to tell my story, and it was a really good story. I know it was good. It was my daggone it. And yet I finally had to be told, Rob, that's a lot of story. Where do
Yeah.
we get to the part about the audience? When you hooked me, when you got to that, and I'm going to provide a formula and I'm going to help you work through it. And now we're talking to the audience. Now,
Okay.
you can't just go high. I got a formula. But what we
Yeah.
can
Yeah. Yeah.
do is
Yeah.
what I'm going to challenge you to do right off the bat, not this moment, but you and I
Yeah.
are going to work again, okay?
Right. Right.
Is can you tell, let's break it in half. Can you spend 60 seconds
Yes.
on here's where I came from? Because I'm not sure how I can listen to you if I don't have a part of that. And then
Yeah.
60 seconds on in sales, that classic whiff 'em. All right.
Yeah.
What's in it for me?
Yeah. Yeah.
60 seconds. I'd heavy up on that end,
Yeah.
loosen up on the front end. You had me at hello. Okay. I get as soon as you started talking about where you're working for a cocaine dealer, et cetera, it's like, woo-ha.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's make that one a little bit faster because we're going to lose some of these business audiences because they're going to be looking around going, well, how does that help me? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm telling you the front half, I don't say it out loud to show you why I'm the right person to deliver the message that's about to happen. But here's what's in it for you to listen. Okay.
Right.
Let's get that, let's rebalance that a little bit. Okay. One
Gotcha.
quick piece. All right. Now, and also welcome to the crowd. I think that probably 90% of the professional speakers really kind of struggle with balancing this out. But when you think about it, this isn't a small thing. I always heard from one person told me once, think like a magician.
Yeah.
They'll take their second best trick, okay, and
Yeah.
they'll lead with it. We're gonna
Yeah.
we're gonna save our best trick and close with it. All right. But
Okay.
was that our second best trick? Yeah, I mean, I would spend more time here than just
Yeah.
about any other part of the presentation because
Right.
unfortunately, the difference between kids and school and a corporate environment, which you're up speaking, so is that we're not sending anybody to the principal's office. There's no test that they're going to be taking. My leverage is, do you believe that I can provide value in this next 60 minutes or whatever it is?
Right.
And so
Right.
we can't spend enough time on this front end. So I'm telling this audience and I'm telling you, I'm not just leaving you here. You and I are going to work on that, but that's the first stake we'll put in the ground. Okay.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
now let's talk about, and by the way, you are allowed, unlike most people, you're allowed to ask me anything that you want to, as long as it's about presentations, anything
Yeah.
you want. So let's make this kind of a two-way street as we're having this conversation.
Sure.
Uh, all right. So let's pretend we've got Bank of America out there.
Mhm.
Give me your thought, and then maybe I'll throw some thoughts in of how we're going to convert a faith-based message to a corporate audience, which is tough you're not my first faith-based guy. Okay.
Yeah, I
It's tough
understand.
because I know that's in your gut. It's in your heart.
Well, Yeah, I
We got
understand.
an audience that's a little bit more mixed. What's the game plan there?
Well, there's some really big, well, you and I both know John Maxwell,
Mhm.
many others have started in the faith-based realm, you know.
Ziegler.
Exactly. And what I truly believe is that, and they were extremely successful and have been extremely successful at being able to transfer that passion and, the principles to a corporate audience, and what have you. And that is really my desire here. And that's why I reached out to you.
Yep.
Um, Here's the thing. Uh, we're speaking to people, okay? And in this room, Bank of America, you name it, Capital One, whoever that, any organization, nonprofit, all of them have something they're struggling with. There's a pain point there in each of their lives to some degree. Some are at an elevated level, some are not. And and it affects their productivity. It really does. There's struggle going on at home. There's financial issues. There's relationship issues. There's addiction issues. A number of different things that are under the surface. What I have found, HR and some of these other CEOs or managers or what have you find it difficult to talk about these things. I can be the guy that could come in and talk about the really tough things having been there, having been in corporate, having been a sales manager, and then my own personal experience of overcoming adversity and a very horrific background. So there's stuff under the surface that is keeping these staffs, it's one thing to talk about overcoming objections and leadership, but and your strengths or weaknesses and managing expectations, all the mechanics. I've been there. I've been in so many sessions, but under the surface, there's some stuff that I can come in and really talk about, and kind of relieve the pressure and relate to them, you
Okay.
know.
All right. So I'm going to put you in a process now. All right. We're going to process your opening a little bit. We sort of nicked it when we talked about WIFMs, but you were actually doing it either consciously or unconsciously because you were talking about at home and at work. In fact, if you define really the three levels of WIFMs,
Yeah,
if that makes sense, it's
yeah,
that in any given audience, and I can't tell you who's where, I can just tell you there's some of each. Most of the, well, I guess I can. Most of the end users, the grunts, as my dad would say, okay, they
yeah,
want to know
yeah,
what's in it for them personally. All right.
absolutely. Yeah,
Some of them, and some of the ones that are climbing up the corporate ladder, they want to know how this is going to help them on the job. Okay.
right,
And
right.
then the person who's probably writing your paycheck wants to know how this is going to help the company. And
Yes,
so, because they don't have signs on their head, it helps us to remember that if we, in one or two sentences, not in two paragraphs, say, not only by learning some of the pieces I'm going to talk to you, will you be able to be more productive at work. But a lot of times when you're feeling better at work, you take that home. And when people are feeling better at work, our customers experience it. See, I'm sort of moving through those three levels there, but that's how
yeah,
brisk I want you to work. That's an important piece. We call that the utility.
yeah.
But one other piece, and I'm going to bounce it back to you. A lot of times, what adults, we got a lot of ADD out there. Okay, they
Uh,
are they you know where I'm coming from. So I like we call it the product sometimes, but I like in one sentence to tell people this is the big picture of the presentation. If I teach people how to sell, I'll sometimes say, and today what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you how to take your idea, put it in somebody else's brain, and make them feel like they thought
make
of it.
them,
Right. And then I work down from it. Here's how we'll do it. Here's what I expect of you when we're done. Then I'll work. But they now know they got to look at the roadmap. So
right.
I'm going to push that back to you. Can you do that? Can you give me in one
Boy,
sentence? I'll give you two. But just try and don't worry if it's how articulate it is. Just grind it out. If I put up my hand and I said I'm lost, can you tell me in one sentence what this presentation is about? How would you answer it?
oh boy, oh boy. Um, Gosh, that.
That's a
It's
tough one.
so it is. That's a very tough,
Hey,
very
Craig,
tough.
and can you see that when we figure this out, how important this one is going to be?
Yes,
I like to play a
absolutely.
game sometimes when we're structuring an
Absolutely.
opening, which is where we're going to lose the audience or grab the audience. I always
Right.
play a game called Talk Me Out of It
Yeah.
because I'm still waiting for the first person to say I don't want to do the big picture, because why? Because it's hard.
Yeah.
So and I'll make you a deal. I'm going to keep listening to your presentation and I'm going
Right.
to double back and I'll grab it. I'll grab you at least an offering of what I think the big picture is. And then you're going to put it in Craig language. All right. But I'll get it. So let's move to one more and then we'll double back. Most presentations are constructed of three, four major points.
Yeah.
Again, from
Yeah.
me, I'll show you this or that, and then we'll do
Yeah.
this thing here.
Yeah.
Give me the structure of it a little bit, and then maybe we can assemble that big picture.
Um, well, essentially well, it's presenting, uh,
Hmm.
identifying maybe a few of whether they're struggling emotionally or mentally with different issues and what have you, with regards to the position, but also equally with what's going on in their personal life. But it's kind of identifying, the pain point, and their current challenges that they're facing, and then coming up with, okay, well, this is how, and essentially, they're facing adversity, and the question is, how are we going to get you from that place to the next level, in
Okay,
your
let me jump
personal.
in real fast. I hope you don't mind. I'm going to jump in a lot. Okay.
Please.
I'm going to give you some words that really resonate with corporate audiences. And one of
Okay.
them, you used one. I don't hear it as much, but it's part of the same family. You
Yeah.
used the word formula earlier.
Yeah. Yeah.
This doesn't have to be a corporate audience. Most audiences that are actually there to do more than be entertained and inspired and are there
Right.
to learn are actually
Right.
looking for something that's repeatable and predictable, something
Right.
that's a process so they can take it and maybe not master it in the first day, but the more they do it, like a golf swing, the easier it becomes, the more success they experience with it. So let's try and incorporate some
Okay.
words like, at the end, what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to give you a process or a
Yeah.
formula so
Yeah.
that not if, but when you uh, reach certain challenges in your life, you'll have a process to follow, to fix it. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to, it's interesting. I haven't even touched this. And it's the one theme that everybody seems to take away every
Hmm.
time, not every time, majority of the
Hmm.
times I speak and share. And it's the first chapter of my book. And I don't know why I'm stumbling here, but when, when the pain in your life or the pain in your job is greater than your fear, you'll do whatever it takes to make the changes.
Right.
And that's when the pain in your life is greater than your fear, you'll do whatever it takes.
Okay, my hand is
And
up in the air. That goes on maybe merchandise. That goes on a pen you may give away. That goes definitely on a PowerPoint slide. See,
really, yeah,
oh yeah, we don't want to
okay,
lose that. Okay,
good,
so
right,
what we're doing right now is I refer to it sometimes as we're flavoring this meal a little bit. The meal, the
yeah,
chicken, you're cooking some protein here. You got
yeah,
that's your chicken. It's the four
right,
steps of this, the formula for that. But when we get
right,
visual, when we provide things like that, now we're seasoning the meal a little bit. And
yeah,
because in this world, no matter what, we can't, if you emphasize everything, you emphasize nothing, as the rule
right,
goes. But I saw it in your
okay,
eyes and I heard it in your voice where you went, Rob, here, that's what they kind of grab. Well, the audience is speaking. So let's not lose that. I don't want that just to be a line that I throw out and hope everybody gets
no,
it. Right? I want them to see it. They may even take it home with them. Okay.
right, right,
There's some really interesting. I'll get a merchandise guy on this show at one point. But there are pens out there, for instance. So maybe think about this. You click them and you can get maybe six different messages in a window,
oh yeah,
right?
yeah, Yeah.
but I can already tell that you're an inspirational speaker. Okay.
Right.
You got
Right.
content, but you're there to inspire too.
Right.
That's what I meant in terms of merchandise of most
Yeah.
speakers. We want to carry things that are light that travel well. We're going national now. Okay.
Right.
So mugs
Right.
are nice, but you carry them around.
Right.
I like smaller things, but
Right.
I want to make that visual and I don't want that to get lost. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I love that. Okay. And now I'll turn it back over to you, but things like that aren't going to get lost on me while you're talking.
Yeah. But essentially, well, that's why I was inspired to, uh, title the book, Stop Hiding, Start Healing. And people generally, the only way they come out of hiding, and when I say hiding, isolation, they pull back from relationships, they pull back from their teammates, and they you can tell something's going on in their life and what have you. But the only way someone steps out of isolation, steps out of hiding, and begins to really has identified the pain, and then launched into a process or the formula. Okay, this is how I'm going to deal with it and move forward and advance and succeed. But that when the pain is greater than the fear theme is really at the bedrock of a lot of what I have shared, and so it is
Yeah,
and
no, I
you
hear you.
know, so that needs to be and I generally it's one of the PowerPoints that I share that leads to, you know, all the other, sub points moving
Yeah.
forward.
All right. Now, so let me offer something to you. Because I'm thinking, how do we sell this? How do we move this in? You have right now, we're talking about reacting to pain. I think, and I'm thinking like a CEO right now. I think when we remind them that we're doing this because we can work proactively. We don't have to wait for this to become unmanageable for
Right.
an employee. See, I'll
Exactly.
tell you from the sales side, my angle. I have a little phrase which we talk about that people don't tend to fix small problems; they fix big problems. That's the way
Yeah.
we're wired. Okay, so
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a CEO. I've got employees. You know what? Nobody's really had an issue. If you ask me, are any of them struggling? Sure, but they're managing. Okay, so we'll wait until it becomes unmanageable, and then we'll be able to help them. If you can get in there and convince a company that you have a
Yeah.
formula or a
Yeah.
process
Yeah.
that will take care of people before the problem becomes unmanageable. Do you see how much more valuable you are in my eyes as the CEO going, that's the kind of talk we could use to kick off our year, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
bottom line oriented. I don't want people out, and struggling. I want to get at it before it becomes a big problem. Quite frankly, I think it's one of the kindest things that we can do for another human being,
Absolutely. Without a
is
doubt.
get at it before all heck breaks loose. Okay.
Yes. Yep.
I'd rather do it this way. So if we can in our opening talk about, we're going to go through a couple different formulas, one that's proactive, one that's reactive. So if there's
Right.
something on the desk and you can feel it gnawing away, let's get at it before it becomes a big issue. And I have a process that I'll share with you on that. And if it
Right.
is becoming a big issue, we'll talk that too. Now it's like we're fishing. Now I got the rod in the water and we're starting to bring it in. I'm starting
Right.
to follow you. See
Right.
why I got 60 seconds of your story, and now we're working into, now I'm interested, right?
Right. Right.
Let's fast forward a little bit,
Okay.
okay? Because we got a lot of presentation here. I'm going to leave that content, and you and I are going to work on this content, but I don't want
Right.
to leave you here. I want to figure out more sauce. I want to figure out in that 1 hour, other than you talking to me, what are we doing that flavors this meal?
Hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Meaning, is there a case study is there a small group activity they could participate in?
Absolutely.
Is there a video you could show?
Oh,
Is there
yeah.
anything that you
Yeah.
can do as a pitcher to stop throwing fastballs and change the pace of that pitch a little bit? What are you thinking about?
Yeah, that's good. Warning signs, thinking about warning signs and things that, people again, they're ignoring these things. And that's a good, I love how you brought that up about the small, small issues, or let's wait
Yeah,
till the major
right. It's
life-changing
human
issues.
nature.
But
Yeah.
it's oftentimes we ignore the warning signs,
Yeah.
and the warning signs can be blaring and glaring, or they can be very subtle. And oftentimes most of the time, they're very subtle. And,
So maybe
but
you can create something. Sorry, again, ladies and gentlemen, Rob Joss never breaks in all so many times and is so rude. But I want to just keep working this problem a little bit. Uh, Maybe you can create something that allows people to see if they can spot the warning signs. See what I mean?
yeah,
If we keep telling an audience things and they don't get a chance to discover, we start losing the audience now. So
right.
our first part of this conversation was how do we gain them? Okay. And how do we make this attractive so we can sell it? But
Yeah,
while we're going there, I remember as a kid sitting in the dentist's office when I was about 6 years old with those, I had about Jack and Jill. I don't know what those magazines were called, but they were for
yeah,
kids. And you would look and you had to spot the problems in the picture,
yeah.
whatever.
Oh, right, right,
Yeah,
right.
I'm
Great.
wondering if just and maybe this will brainstorm into another idea, but you can
Right.
see I'm trying to figure out how I love when an audience gets an opportunity to look at something and then I explain to them what I'm looking for, as
Yeah,
opposed to let me show you what I'm looking for, where everyone just nods and goes, yeah, I would have seen that.
yeah,
Not
you
so
make it.
sure about that.
Yeah,
So, number two, I'll give you a great video you might be able to find. Maybe you don't like it, but I'm going to give you an example of, let's say, in that 60 minutes, we come out strong, got a great opening now. Okay. We teach a little bit. Maybe we go to that warning signs. They're all over here. See if you can spot some warning signs in this case study that I'll put up on the board. Okay. But about every 15 minutes, I want to do something that changes the flavor of this room. So there's a Bob Newhart video. It just came to me while you were talking, but he's a therapist. And somebody
yeah,
comes in and it's probably a 2 minute video and he says $5. I don't give change, and you're not gonna be here for more than 5 minutes. Person says,
yeah,
okay. And she says, what's the problem? And she says, well, I keep thinking I'm going to get buried in a box. Everywhere I go, I think, what if I was buried in a box here? I'm in my car. What if there's a box? The box. He goes, oh, it's pretty bad. He says, I tell you, he said, I got two words for you. He said, she gets out a pen. He goes, no, no, you'll be able to remember these words. He says, leans forward and he goes, stop it. And she goes, what? He goes, you heard me. Stop it. And
yeah,
now, the reason why I show that occasionally when I'm working with people in career transition who are struggling and are really kind of stuck in how angry they are at the former boss or company or their situation, I
right,
bring it up because of course it's silly and
right,
that's not how we solve things. But
right,
sometimes we just have to stop it. Now, for you, I could even show it and say, wouldn't it be great if if overcoming a crisis was that easy? Well, it's not. So here's the format, but we got the audience to smile a little bit. They're looking away at
right,
you and it's something else. I'm not saying use the video. I'm saying that's the kind of video I'm looking for. All right.
right.
And that
Exactly.
again, we want all 60 minutes to be valuable. All right. We don't want them to start sliding off the shelf on us. So that's an example of a video, right?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
other things, let's you and I think about this for a minute. How else are we going to sustain interest in this presentation? Maybe
Well,
a video. We'll use some slides, not too many that, those can get boring too. Uh,
people love stories. They
they
love
love
real
story.
stories.
Absolutely. Great
And
story.
I
Yeah.
have a wealth,
All right. And I
great.
don't want you to tell this story, but I want you to give me the title of it. What's the very best story that you could tell?
Oh man. Oh my goodness.
That may
Best.
change from day to day. That's like asking me what my favorite movie is. On Thursday, it's this one. Saturday, it might be that one. But you got a clue and an idea of what's your best story, and just give me like the title of it.
Well, I mean, oh, title. Good night. I I haven't ever got haven't ever I
For those
haven't
who
ever
can't
got
see
this
this, Craig
spot.
has lost 4 pounds already. But he's hanging in there.
Oh, I am. I'm looking for the spot I'm being put on right here. That's for sure. Um, gosh, titles I'd have to again.
How
Um,
about just the gist of it? Is there one really? Here's what I'll take the pressure off you. But here's what I want you to discover, okay? And maybe
yeah,
just take a note on this one. I
yeah,
want you to think about one of the best the stories, and you know which ones click. I mean, really click. And I want you to close with it, okay? I want you to
yeah,
close with your best story. Even if there's a Q&A, which there may be, particularly on a talk like yours, where you want
yeah.
to open it up for questions, don't end on finishing a question. End on a story and make it a
Okay.
great one. And that's when
Yeah,
you step back from the mic because I would love to think that everybody hangs on every word of mine and yours, but I know they'll remember how we got started. They'll remember pockets in the middle. But boy, I don't want them to forget me when I step off that
right.
stage. And sometimes that becomes our weakest spot where we just sort of mumble our way off. Somebody comes up, well, give me a hand, and we're mumbling. And no, if I may, I'd like to leave you with one last story. And it's a
Yeah,
story of a person that I met. And that's where I want to finish. Okay. So we're going to clean up that opening, even clean up how you introduce yourself, really redefine that with them and lay out that big picture. We're going to spice it up in the middle a little bit. I think we're making it a little bit more attractive to a corporate audience. And I've got somebody coming on pretty soon who's going to be talking about sourcing gigs. Okay. Because that's a whole nother category
no,
for us. And we need
definitely.
to talk about that. I'm going to make you feel better right now, although it's a dreadful number I'm about to share. But recently it was shared to me with me that about 10% of professional speakers make more than $10,000 speaking. I don't mean a gig, I mean a year, which means a lot of them are side hustling and taking the gigs where they can and going to the Rotary Club and taking maybe a little bit here or there. Uh, that's not what you and I are talking about right now. And that's why you hear me being so meticulous about even making it attractive to a corporate audience so that
Yeah,
when we start working our network, and I've got some ideas for you, I want to pay you a compliment. That book is your entry into this industry. You can't get in here without a book. Did it make you and I smarter because we wrote books? Shh, don't
right.
tell anybody. Not so
Yeah,
much. But
right.
the perception is now you're a subject matter expert. Now you've elevated. You're the scarecrow who just got handed a diploma by the Wizard of Oz, and now you
Yeah,
know what the square root of an isosceles triangle is. Okay,
yeah,
that book is really important, and I don't mean to be trite, but I'm proud of you for writing it. It's the books don't write themselves. Okay,
right, right.
now we got it. You're coming into the arena. We want I don't sometimes the horse before the cart. I want to get some really incredible opportunities set up, but I want to make sure when we get up there we are people lean back and say, I have never seen anything like that before.
Yeah,
And you're
yeah,
capable. It's a formula. Okay, but it's a
right,
speaking
right,
formula.
right, right. Excellent. That
Yeah.
is excellent. Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. So, some things to think about. Any questions for me? Maybe just a part of the presentation. Throw anything my way. I've got more questions for you. I never run out of questions.
But you can answer, you can ask questions. No, that's fine.
Okay. All right. How about this one? Uh, if when you get in front of, if when we put you in front of a corporate audience,
Hmm.
uh, do you have a workshop that supports the keynote?
A work,
A
uh,
workshop.
well, that can be assembled fairly easily.
Oh, well, yeah, okay. I would start working on that yesterday, and I'm going to tell you why. Because sourcing
So,
clients is
if
not
you,
easy.
yeah,
Uh,
you're,
when you get that keynote, if you're as good as I believe you're going to be, and really, listen, I got on you a little bit about you. Went a little long here on that open, isn't that? But I was staring right through you while you were doing it, Craig. I believed you. There's nothing more important than authenticity. You're a very authentic guy.
right.
I'm not sure what book we can read to get it. It's one of those you got it or you don't. Okay.
Yeah,
So you're
yeah,
an authentic guy. So let's play that out. Let's say that authenticity meets with a more effective formula and a keynote that just does move a room.
yeah.
Why would we want to stop there? Why wouldn't
Good.
we? A lot of times, it's so good
Right.
that we have a half a day workshop where we'll only put up to 20 people in there, where we're doing some, real small group exercises and role plays and simulations where we can really get into some very creative things. And that allows you to, here's another magic word in business, and the word
Yeah.
is implementation. Okay.
Right.
They don't want to just be inspired, motivated, and entertained. They want to be
Right.
able to apply what you just taught them. Now, I'm not, neither one of us are wasting anybody's time by delivering a keynote and saying, well, it's just entertainment. But the reality is, yes, in a keynote, you may walk away with two or three really good ideas. But in a
Yeah.
workshop, we'll create a cultural change within this organization that will implement this as a way of, as a part of this corporate structure. That's powerful. And at the end of the day, I'm waiting for the first CEO to tell me, nah, that's not as important. I just want them entertained and inspired. Because if that's the case, then we can bring in Chris Farley, may he rest in peace. I mean,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
motivational speaker. Now that's
Yeah.
what they're asking, but they don't know how to say it. So
Right.
we're going to help them. I would start thinking about maybe about a half day and a full day. And what would that look like? And that's where there's a resource that I happen to like. Um, it's an oldie but a goodie. There's a book called Games Trainers Play, and the guy's got two or three versions of it because it
Yeah.
was popular. But there are about 200 little activities and things to do, and 190 of them are not going to click with you, but 10 of them
Right.
will. Okay,
Yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
worth their
Yeah.
weight in gold. So if we can get that, it's not that I'm trying to slow down in a workshop, but I'm actually handing them the golf club and say, you swing it now. Okay.
Right.
And let's
Right.
play a hole or two. So, how do we maybe apply some of the things you're talking about? Not everything converts to a workshop, but the reason
Sure.
why I'm encouraging you to think it out and I'd be ready for it before somebody asks you about it is
Yeah.
because what they're saying is, can you stay longer, be more part of our organization? Now, Craig, we might even be talking about a retainer. Now we might be talking about really working with a bigger company because these Fortune 500 companies, they want more than a keynote these days, and thank goodness,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I have a well, I did record, I did produce an online course that as a part of the book. So
Hmm.
I do have that. I
I
have a
love
wealth.
that.
Man, I do online coaching on a regular basis.
Hmm.
But I have a wealth of material. I've done so many presentations that it wouldn't be real difficult to put put all the different sessions together, etc.
Yeah,
So
outstanding. Do you
yeah,
ever do any team coaching sessions?
no, team coaching.
Team coaching. So here's what I'm throwing out at you. Remember, we're trying to really be part of the organization as opposed to just flew in, delivered, flew out. So
Okay.
what I'm liking, because I'm not a
Oh,
huge fan of virtual training. Easy, everybody. I get it. I'm
yeah,
delivering virtual workshops, but I wrote a piece one time that's called "Plant a Garden, Tend a Garden." I think
yeah,
what we do with that keynote and maybe workshop is that's the planting of the garden.
yeah,
Hard for me to get your mind share virtually. But once I've got your mind share, I'm more than okay with saying, now let's meet once a month as a team
yeah,
and for an hour and
yeah,
see how things are going. You're going to have to develop some more activities and exercises. And that's something we can talk about. But again, what that does is it lets you be part of the organization. So rather than you sell 50 workshops a year, let's
yeah,
sell 15 to 20 and let's
yeah,
have more around it. And I guarantee you, we won't be in that 10,000 or less category. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
And
Gotcha.
right. And now let that reputation begin to spread that this guy's got a great book. He delivers really well. And he's got a process that we're really implementing the ideas that he's bringing to us.
Yeah,
That, that's the kindest thing you can say to people like you and me when we've done our job right. I'd like to
absolutely.
think.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, with your experience, what have you found to be the biggest challenges as of like presently? you've seen the landscape change over
Yep.
the years
Yeah. Yeah.
greatly.
Uh,
Now, for
yep.
me, if I can, um, what I have to share post COVID, we are now experiencing, everybody's experiencing to a degree the post-COVID malaise or lack of motivation, still struggling with isolation and those types of things. So when I ask you as a veteran about the landscape changing on you from your perspective, what are you seeing out there that where you've had to then adapt and maybe shift or change or revise your presentation?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I had to do is is stop complaining about virtual deliveries. Okay,
Yeah,
because that's just that Zoom taught us that it can be done and done well.
yeah,
If I could just add a little there, remember the done well part. That means folks can't see you, although we're going to have you up on YouTube as well. So watch the YouTube of this. You'll see that Craig's got a professional background behind him. Craig has a professional microphone, a Yeti in front of him. Uh, that is a necessity now. Craig is lit properly. Craig's signal strength is strong. So it's not just our content. It's if we're going to do virtual, let's
yeah,
do it better than anybody else. If you
absolutely.
haven't noticed,
Yeah,
that's sort of the way I'm bred. Show me what everyone's doing, and I'm trying to do it better than everybody. I don't mean that in a mean or an arrogant way. I'm just saying, how do we do it the best way we possibly can do it? So
right.
the way you showed up today is not lost on me. Rather than argue about virtual, I think what I've done with most of my clients is say, I'm not opposed. Let's just use it the best way we can. And that
Yeah,
is live delivery to get the mind share. And from then on, you've got me virtually.
yeah.
That's number one.
Okay.
I've also seen that budgets are tight. I actually, the reason why I asked you about workshops is I'm getting hired more for workshops than keynotes
Okay.
because they're not going to Marco Island as much as they used to for the big, year-end bonanza.
Yeah.
Budgets are tighter than that, but
Right.
they'll bring in 20 of their top whatevers for the right type of workshop. They'll bring in
Okay.
the corporate officers for the workshop. So I think
Gotcha.
workshops are powerful. The industry's gotten crowded. It's a lot easier to write a book, and people can create websites. So in a sense, we all look alike until we open our mouth. So
Yeah.
that's why
Yeah.
I'm saying we have to be really, when I was talking about proactive, reactive, and really throw it at you, to me that's almost a sales idea I want you to run with of how we convince somebody to give us the blessing of that time to prove who we are.
Yeah.
And what else have I seen change? That's kind of that's my first shot at your answer is it's more
Yeah.
crowded. I, just so you know, I'm not a whiner. People go, there's so many podcasts. Why would you do a podcast? There's so many books. Why would you write a book?
Yeah.
Well, the 99.9% of books don't sell more than 200 copies. I'm fighting to get a book read.
Right.
Most podcasts fade after 7 podcasts. I'm only throwing this out to you because I could tell you that and then tell you you work hard, you grind, you still have the opportunity to reach the head of your class. I'm just not
Right.
letting numbers scare me, but
Right.
they're out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. One thing, you know, I'm kind of I entered the game a little bit later. Excuse me. I was inspired to write the book, 5 years ago. From that, I've been speaking in the DMV for over 2 decades, but the book and everything else it's been kind of recent, really the last 5 years. If I were to tell you that if I had, a dollar for every time someone had said they were going to help me and they were going to get me on stages or what have you, I would be wealthy and I wouldn't be speaking to you right now. But
Yeah.
I've had I mean, not only in the faith-based realm, general market realm, man, and it's been, I don't want to use the word brutal, but it's been a real eye opener. Not that I thought I'd just waltz right in and hey, here's my book and here. No, I've had to take every bit of my experience and overcoming objections and taking no's and everything else. And I've had to use that just to stay focused and stay motivated and stay, you know, uh, moving forward
Yeah.
because it's been really, really difficult.
Yeah,
And,
Craig, you bring
and
up something really important. If I could cut in, you bring up
yeah,
something really important. And that's the sad, that's another change I've seen in this industry, and it's been recent. And that is it's almost carpetbaggers. There are so many people with that are there ready to optimize your Google and do so many things. And we only have so much of a budget. And I wish they were all as genuine. You know that I sense that in you because if we could, this everyone else don't listen. I'm just talking to Craig. Uh, but I sensed when I didn't respond to something that you had sent me, and I dropped the ball. I don't normally do that, but I dropped the ball. And I didn't respond, and I got an email that sort of it looked like you kind of were like, I guess this wasn't real. Something you said it nicer, but I felt so terrible. But I could also tell that here's a guy who's being told, give me this, do this, I promise you this and that. I was genuinely, no, all I did was forget your email. I mean what I said. So I think my suggestion is this, now that we've outed this as part of the issue, is just like anything else in life. I think we have to surround ourselves with a very short list of
yes.
people that we trust. Uh,
Oh, believe me.
right. And you got to
Yes.
earn your right onto that list. I'm
Yeah.
I'd like to think I'm on the outside. I'm not there yet. I haven't got there yet. I'm tapping at the door. But you got to earn your way there because I'm the same way. You think I've been in this business long enough? I'd be smarter than I am, but a lot of
We
AI
wonder.
thoughts and things, and wow, that'll simplify this and expedite. No, I got to get that from my inner core, and I think that's the
Yeah.
mistake, or at least run it by them.
Yeah.
Run it by the people that you trust,
Yeah.
and I
Oh,
think
without a
and
doubt.
remind me of that too, will you? Uh,
Yeah.
because I think
Sure.
this lesson only lasts about 3-4 months until we stumble again. Then we go, I won't make that mistake again, and then we got 3 or 4 months of not making that mistake again. So.
Right.
I hear you. There's a lot out there. How we'll market your book. We'll make a movie about your book. There's so much of that going on out there. You
Yeah.
know that old saying, if it's too good to be true, right? I
Yeah. Well, there hadn't been too many of those, only very few, but the majority, agencies,
Yep.
you name it, publicists. Now I have been on a number of, radio, some TV, many podcasts, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity with you. I really am. I mean, I'm so glad we found each other in LinkedIn.
Yep.
Um, but I'm a big believer in that. Less is more, and I have had that in my life, just personally, relationally, you know. And I think honestly, a lot of people mean well, but at the same time, life takes over and they forget about that guy Craig Brown and I get it. I totally understand. But at the same time, I'm not going to give up. I mean,
Well, there you go.
was,
That's the most important thing. You just hit it. You can't
no,
quit. You can't
no,
give
I was
up.
conditioned. I did not go through what I had to go through. I did not go through that experience to just sit idly by because there are thousands, thousands, and thousands of people that need encouragement and need hope. They just do. And
And
that's what
Craig,
I've been,
I think I just heard the close of your keynote.
yeah.
See what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
And we'll clean that up and we'll elaborate. But boy, those words, I didn't go through this experience too, really resonate with me.
Okay.
And we build a story that leads into that, and those being some of your last words will land with the impact that we're looking for. So, yeah, they just landed on me.
Cool.
And they were so from the heart and the gut. That's the beauty of what we're talking about now. I know this
Yeah.
sounds silly, but I put it in one of my books once talking about why people don't believe you. And I remember just sort of writing the words that, the easiest way to be believed is to tell the truth. And you just told the truth. Stick with the truth.
Exactly.
It won't betray you.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
True. I mean, no fluff, no, it's real stuff. And people, I truly believe, yearn for guys like you and I that give them real, real data, real experience, real, a wealth of information. It's real.
It's real. And
Yeah,
it's I get asked a lot of different questions and half the answers are the same because it's always what's in the best interest of that audience. You know, what's in
exactly.
that's who I care about. Well, what if that this and this has happened? Well, it doesn't bother my audience, it doesn't bother me. Well, what if that's that? Well, if the audience it's always starts with that's our customer. Okay. And when we're true and honest in what we say and believe, and we can translate that onto the stage,
Yes.
we'll get gigs. All right, now I'm gonna congratulations, you're now the longest presentation whisperer show I've ever had. But we wanted to simulate a coaching session, and I believe we got there. Now, what happens? Craig and I are both coaches. We don't go, well, now you're fixed. Go, good luck with you. Craig and I are going to continue our conversations, and we'll and maybe we'll come back in a few months and we'll continue one about finding gigs and pricing gigs and contracts, and there's so much that goes into this. But the first thing we have to do is we have to create a keynote like no one has ever seen, and we have to deliver it like the greatest speaker on the planet. I've been lucky. I get to listen to you and I get to look at you. I have no doubt that you can deliver a phenomenal keynote. We just have to make sure everything lines up and we structure it right. Formula. And that's something
Sure.
we'll continue to work on, you and me. Okay.
Absolutely.
All
Well,
right,
I
my man.
appreciate it, man.
Hey, been my pleasure.
Excellent.
Hey, how do people get a hold of you? Might be a few people listening right now who say, that's my kind of speaker. All right. So how do they get a
Man,
hold of you?
they can get a hold of me by my website, craigdbrown.com, craigdbrown.com. Also, Facebook. All over Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. I have quite a following there. And also the nonprofit I have,
Mhm.
stophiding.starthealing.org.
Okay.
Stophiding.starthealing.org. Yep.
Oh, perfect. Well, I hope people do reach out to you. And by the way, give me the name of that book again.
Stop hiding, start healing.
Yeah, okay. We can find
Stop
that on
hiding,
Amazon.
start healing. Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
So let's
Yeah,
find that book on Amazon. Let's throw some comments on there too. That means the world
that'll
to
be
every
great.
author. I agree.
Excellent.
All right, my man. Wonderful talking to you. Nice meeting you. I look forward to continuing our friendship. And
Absolutely.
I appreciate you letting me take a shot at what you were working on and just giving some thoughts where I could. And I wish you nothing but success. And we will be talking some more. Fair
Okay,
enough?
Ron. Thank you. Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
You bet. Well, folks, we'll do it again as well as we can next time. Until then, stay safe.
Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, please follow, rate, and review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen. For more resources and to connect with Rob, visit thepresentationwhisperer.com.